Okay. Good evening. We'll call to order this special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Helotes. It is December 13th at 7 p.m. I'd ask the Commission Secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle.
Here.
Jeff Wade.
Here.
Jason Whiteman.
Here.
Ron Haza. Ann Carway.
Here.
David
Cato.
Cato. Alex Blue.
Here.
Mario Rios.
And we have Susan Darst from staff, Michael Gallardo from staff, and Jen Sones from council with us this evening. Our first item is citizens to be heard. I don't believe we have any. Is that correct? So we can move to the discussion and action on the October the 4th meeting minutes. If you see any corrections that need to be made or edits, please call them to our attention, or we can have a motion.
Chairman, may I make a motion to approve as written?
The motion is to approve the October 4th minutes as written. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of approving the minutes as submitted for October the 4th's meeting, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 5 this evening. It's discussion and action on a request by Rely Signs for approval of a wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 72. That is zoning signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Toman Brothers, 14839 Bandera Road. Have the material in your packet here. I'd ask staff, is there anything additional that we should know about this particular proposal that's before us?
No, sir. After review from city staff, we find that it's compliant with code.
Very good. And we all see the image, which is, thank you for projecting it. That is it, yes, very good. Are there any comments or questions from the commission regarding this particular sign?
One sort of point of order question. I may have asked this before about this property, but do they have a master sign plan? It seemed like this would be a shoe-in for that.
They do not. That's a project that Development Services is working on to identify all the commercial office built spaces that don't have master sign plans in place, to contact them, get those master sign plans put together, and then for planning and zoning for approval.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a retroactive process for existing property.
Yes, sir. Well, and we're also revisiting some properties that have outdated sign plans.
But if there are properties without a sign plan, I'm just thinking in terms of, say, like a grandfather type policy where it wouldn't be implemented or imposed unless there's a significant change. Is that not applicable in this type of situation where we would actually go in and ask for a sign plan to be developed, sign agreement to be developed?
That's hard to say because each property is a little bit different.
Okay. Any other comments or questions, or I would invite a motion then for item number 5.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion on, for approval on discussion and action on requests by Rely Signs.
So to be clear, what is the motion?
Motion is to approval.
I'll second.
As submitted? As they said, okay.
Yes.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ron. So discussion on the motion to approve as submitted. Jason or Ron or anyone?
No.
So the motion is to approve the wall sign, the request for the wall sign by Rely Signs, pursuant to Code Chapter 98 zoning, Section 72 signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Toman Brothers, 14839 Bandera Road, and that is Suite 7. All in favor, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? This motion is approved. Thank you. Item 6 this evening. Discussion and action on a request by Aetna Sign Group on behalf of Circle Bar Investments for approval of an amendment to a master sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 71, permits, certificates, and approval required master sign plan for Bandera Plaza, 12540 Bandera Road. This is item 6, materials in your packet. Susan, anything from staff on this item beyond what's submitted?
No.
And again, if you wouldn't mind, just for the benefit of the commission, to characterize the nature of these changes or necessitated.
Item number 1, they have in their master sign plan that only one sign is allowable. They have a number of different locations that are corner locations. So they want to add that second sign for that other, so for that other frontage, which is allowable by, it's allowable under our municipal code of ordinances. So they want to add that. Number 2, this one, as we discussed last time, is a little bit vague. All individual signs to be aluminum channel letters on a raceway mounted to the building fascia and sign band. And it says except is approved by landlord. So this is going to be, I'm assuming they're meaning above doors and canopy signs. However, whatever this approved by landlord is still has to fall under, it has to be compliant with the municipal code of ordinances for signs. Number 3, maximum, their current sign plan had, they called for smaller lettering, so it's allowing 2 lines of copy, and the 2 lines can't exceed 60 inches, but it still has to meet the total square footage requirements. So really, it's nothing that exceeds our current code of ordinances, making theirs just a little less restrictive.
So to be clear on that second one regarding the landlord approval, as long as it is within compliant with city code, the landlord can approve
That is
exceptions.
correct. That is correct.
Other comments or questions on item 6? I would invite a motion then at this time.
I will move to approve the request by Aetna Sign Group on behalf of Circle Bar Investments LLC for approval of an amendment to a master sign plan pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Signs, Section 66-71, Permits, Certificates, and Approval Required, Master Sign Plan for Bandera Plaza located at 12540 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, more particularly described at BCAD property ID number 1134896.
Thank you, Ann. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jason? Is any discussion on the motion, Ann?
No.
Jason? Anyone else?
My only question, Mr. Chair, would be,
Please.
do we need to put anything in there? Like, you said that approved by landlord, but must fall within code. Do you need to put
I don't
anything
feel
like
it's
that in there?
necessary because that's the whole point of development services, then planning and zoning review, is it has to be compliant with code.
I have to, Jeff brings up a good point. I'm just worried about people reading it and misinterpreting that. Like, oh, I got the landlord's approval, that's what it says here. And, sign makers, tenants, whoever reading this and assuming that they're okay because the landlord said yes. And so with Jeff's point, I've had some concern about that. And I guess that you've been talking to them or you make it clear with them that that's what it means.
But the commission can also amend your motion to approve 2 changes in that 3. Does that make sense?
Yes.
To do what?
To approve the items 1 and 3 and not 2. And that way that would not allow that verbiage to go into the master sign plan.
So could we actually give them the wording for it in our motion to approve with an amendment to number 2, which would include the following language? Or we'd have to go back and,
I think it'd be acceptable if the will of the commission is to, for example, keep number 2, but amend the language to say, and I'm just thinking out loud here, is except as approved by landlord and compliance with city code, something along those lines.
Yeah, because that does kind of bug me.
It gives the landlord-
I agree with Jeff. It's kind of been sticking in my head about
So
that.
would you like to amend the motion that you've made?
Yes, would the language be, what language would you like?
I think what,
Except as approved by landlord
in compliant with
in
city code.
compliance with,
City ordinance.
Michael, do you agree with that?
okay.
And in compliance with city code?
Yes, so I would again amend my motion to approve, subject to number 2, the language in red, except as approved by landlord, to include, except as approved by landlord and compliant with code.
Okay. Who seconded that? Was that you, Jason? Is that an acceptable amendment to you?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. So further discussion of the newly amended motion. Ann,
No.
Jason,
I think it's a good addition, and for the reasons Ann stated.
great. Jeff or Alex, Ron? I'm just going to read it back here. Our motion on this item is to approve the request by an assigned group on behalf of Circle B Investments of an amendment to the master sign plan pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 Signs, Section 71 Permits, Certificates, and Approvals Required Master Sign Plan for Bandera Plaza at 12540 Bandera Road, with the addition that in the second point, the language read, except as approved by landlord and compliant with code. All in favor of that motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. Number 7 tonight, and I point out to you that 7 and 8 are on the same property. Number 7 is discussion and action on a request by Edward Villanueva for approval of a roof-mounted sign in the Old Town Helotes Special District pursuant to Code, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 72, Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review for E. Villanueva and Associates, 14237 Bandera Road. Anything further from staff?
Yes.
Please.
To give a little back history to this property. This property is number 1 in the Old Town Special District. So when we compare any activity as far as code, we have to make sure that we're looking at the chapter for zoning and not for regular code, because as we all know, Old Town has a special, has its own set of code for signage. So Mr. Villanueva, the applicant, this is it was an existing single tenant office space. At the time that he put his original signage up, he asked for a rooftop sign, which is not compliant with code. He applied under the creative sign review and was granted permission for the sign through the creative sign review. Now, he has expanded this single tenant business to 2 tenants. When he did that, that triggered the need for a master sign plan, because now he's a multi-tenant office building. His second sign is a rooftop sign that even though the first sign was permitted under the creative sign review, we still have to go in and use the creative sign review for that second sign because it's non-conforming. In addition to that, because he expanded his business again to a multi-tenant, we also have to look at a master sign plan, which was activated by the addition of that second suite. So we're trying to accomplish actually 2 things in this motion. We're, 1, reviewing the sign under the creative sign review, which is appropriate for that type of sign, and then looking at the master sign plan, which you'll see documents in your supplemental information. And what that is that's just a general synopsis of all of the items or the information that's required by code for a master sign plan.
That's very,
So hopefully I made that clear.
I thought that was very clear. My one question I have is, by now considering a master sign application or master sign plan here, do we need to go back and in any way revisit the original first sign?
I don't believe so because it was already approved. So now the second, the intent of the applicant is to match what's currently there. But the avenue is a little confusing because of the changes in occupancy.
But this would be the process for any business that expanded in a similar manner, in other words, went
Yes.
single to multi.
Yes, yes.
Right, other comments, questions, Ron?
One thing, since this was, the way the original sign was granted and the look of it, I would see if we can have them duplicate the look on the new sign with the border.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think the last time we discussed it, he said that he had removed the border.
Right.
Oh, you would like him to put it back
Yeah,
on?
because it was a creative sign, and it was approved as a creative sign,
With the border.
not a piece of plywood with a name on it.
Gotcha. What about the fact that the second one has the 2 stars and the first one has 1? Does that bother you?
That
So,
makes it artistic.
I'm sorry, if we could get clarification here, the sign number, existing sign,
The Owens is original.
correct, which has some sort of border around
The
it.
black border, which no longer has that border, is what he said, yeah.
And so,
And that was approved with a border.
I gotcha.
you're suggesting that we ask him to have a,
With the border, so it looks more of a
but,
creative
but,
sign.
but you're talking about on both signs.
Correct.
So reinstalling it on sign 1 and including it in sign 2 is what you're suggesting?
Yes, because sign 1 was approved with a border.
With the border. Actually, the border does look nicer to me. That's a good point, because,
So is there how would I say this? As part of the creative sign review process, we typically would give applicants wide latitude of what their signs look like. So why tell him to put a border on it or have 2
To make it-
stars,
Well, to make it look more creative than,
a border?
yeah,
he said that
The wood with writing on it.
I think he said it had fallen off or it got corroded. It did not look nice anymore. So I guess if he did a new one, it would look nice again.
Well, other comments or questions before we move to a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have one question.
Yes, please.
I know that this sign it falls under the creative plan, and there really isn't any type of square footage even outside of the creative plan, but as far as, normal signs outside of Old Town, we usually allow 1 square foot per foot of frontage. Do we have maybe it's on the next agenda item, how long the new addition is?
That's a very good question. If you would give me a moment.
Because it does look much bigger than the existing.
I think on the sign permit application, he has sign dimensions,
Yeah, it says 32 square feet.
Yeah,
24 by 192 inch, okay.
and just for your clarification, I'm actually jumping to the next agenda item that has the specifications for the building. Well,
The new site with
the new sign, I believe that's at 3,330 square feet. That's the addition, not the.
The new addition has a frontage side of 34 feet wide, Jeff.
It does, yep, that does say we're 34 feet.
The existing portion is 34 feet, but he's adding 15 linear feet to the left-hand side as an extra office. The right-hand addition is 34 feet, so a 32 square foot sign would be less than 1 square foot per linear frontage. Barely.
other comments, questions?
thank you. Alex.
If there are no other comments or questions, be appropriate for a motion to be proposed to discuss.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to
Note this is a
recommendation.
recommendation, yeah.
recommend approval, the request by Ed Villanueva for a roof-mounted sign in the Old Town Helotes Special District pursuant is Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning, Section 9872, Old Town Special District.
For the property at 14237, yes?
Correct.
Just to be clear. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so discussion of the motion, Jeff? Or Ron?
So I'm sorry, did we do it with the black frame?
Well, that's where I'm gonna add that right now.
You're gonna
He
add
did
it?
not, the motion is without.
Oh,
I didn't add it, but
can we go back and put that on there?
It depends, is Jeff?
So,
Well, Jeff,
Jeff made
well,
the-
Jeff, it's your,
You've made the motion, so you have the opportunity, if you wish, you don't need to. We can vote on this motion and then, but Ron is asking about amending it, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but to require a border on both signs.
right, as the original was granted.
Just-
While you think about that,
If I could
please.
make a point on that one, the request is for a new sign, which the agenda item doesn't allow us to tell them to change something else on the building.
Fair enough.
It's only the request is for the new sign, which doesn't have it. So I was asking our development services folks if the fact that there was some reference to the master sign plan allows us to adjust something that's already previously been approved, since it's not technically part of our agenda item. And she said it's not addressed in the master plan as to whether it does or doesn't have it. So I would question whether we can force him to change an existing sign just because he's requesting a second one.
Well, can we make the new sign match the approved sign from the approved original sign?
You could, but what you're basically saying is that the second sign would then carry a border and the first sign.
Well, then the first sign would
Wouldn't
not
they have
apply to
to-
what they were approved for.
Do we know for sure when this was approved years ago that it had the black?
Yes.
Oh, you remember that?
Yes. Been here a long time.
It's in the picture, actually, so it wasn't that long
Oh, so
ago.
this is the picture from, no, Owens has been there, that sign's been there for a while, yeah.
Basically, what he said was that they were trying to refurbish the old sign of Owens, and the 1x2 border crumbled and fell off, so they said, it looks good without it, and they left it off.
Well, I think they were doing the roof.
Yeah, they were redoing the roof, and then when they took the
So-
sign off to put the roof on, it fell
It was
apart.
old, it was old and it
So
fell.
I'll direct us back to the motion that's on the table right now. And the question to Jeff is if he would like to entertain an amendment to it. And if not, we vote on what we've got now, and if it fails, then we consider something else. But it's, right now, we do have a motion on the table.
yeah, I don't feel confident enough to add something to that.
Okay, so the motion is as is right now, as submitted. So discussion of that motion, anything more discussion-wise, Jeff? Ron, go ahead, Jeff, if you.
I do not.
Ron, Alex, and Jason. So the motion as it is, this motion is, excuse me, to recommend approval of the request by Edward Villanueva for a roof-mounted sign in Old Town Helotes Special District pursuant to Code, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 72. Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review for E. Villanueva and Associates, 14237 Bandera Road. So all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is approved. It will go to city council. Susan, correct? And
Yes.
what date? Will it be December in this month, or?
I'm looking, it,
Can't
no, it will actually be in January.
Okay, What is the date in January?
Michael, do you have your calendar?
So not till January 12th? Okay,
So they don't meet during the week of
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna even skip it.
We'll be meeting again before that. Hardest working commission in the city, I tell you. All right, item number 8 tonight. Discussion and action on a request by Edward Villanueva for approval of a conceptual design plan pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning, Section 27, Old Town Helotes Special District for a building addition to Dominion Commercial Management LLC, DBA Owens Law Firm, 14237 Old Mandara Road. This is the same property, and it is in relation to the addition. You have the material in your packets. Susan from staff, anything that you all would like to add to what is before us?
Yes, thank you.
Questions or comments from staff regarding this addition?
Chairman, my only question is, and I'm trying to find it right here, on the original item, it says, site plan and building design and exterior lighting. Is this last page the only light
That's
in the
it.
whole,
That's correct.
So,
on the front porch or something?
so that's the front porch of the existing, and he's just gonna mimic the same thing in the addition. So it'll be the exact same thing.
So no lights in the parking lot or anything?
Nope, just new door, new light.
And to be clear, there was downward lighting on the sign we just looked at, which is not part of this item.
Correct.
But there will be downward lighting on that sign.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Michael. Any other comments or questions?
I'd just like to ask, there wasn't a site plan included in the package. I presume staff checked that the additional building area is accommodated by the existing parking lot.
That's correct. There's additional parking also across the street from it.
Okay.
So he has a general parking lot inside. Outside on Old Bandera, he does have additional parking, so he meets the requirements.
Absent the site plan here, shall we withhold that from the motion? We haven't seen it.
Haven't seen what, oh, the site.
I don't know that there's really much of the site plan. I mean, it's
Because it's an addition.
the building addition, but presumably there's no changes to, no other development to the site, only what's being shown here.
Would the site plan also show setbacks?
So in this particular case, it's been already reviewed by the fire marshal and the city inspector, so the setbacks are, he's in compliance with that.
Has staff reviewed the site plan?
Generally speaking, we've blueprints, the specific site, other than what's here, but yes. And again, approved by the fire marshal and the city inspector.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I would invite a motion then. Alex, your turn.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval to City Council, the request by Edward Villanueva for approval for a conceptual design plan pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 98-27, Old Town Special District for a building addition to Dominion Commercial Management LLC, DBA Owens Law Firm, located at 14237 Old Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, and including site plan, building design, exterior lighting.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Excuse me, Ann, thank you. Alex or Ann, any discussion of the motion?
No.
Anyone else on the motion? So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by Edward Villanueva for a conceptual design plan pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 27, that is zoning Old Town Helotes Special District for a building addition to Dominion Commercial LLC, DBA owns law firm, 14237 Old Bandera Road, including site plan, building design, and exterior lighting. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. It will go to city council, same meeting, I presume, January the 12th.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next item tonight, number 9, is discussion and action on a request by Robert James of wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 98, Section 72, that is zoning signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Cheetahlish Country, 14436 Old Bandera Road, Unit 2. See it in the image as well as in your packet. Staff, Susan, anything from staff? Further?
Yes, staff has reviewed the application and find it compliant with code. A little more detail about the sign itself is that Cheetahlish Country is a second store from the applicant, Cheetahlish. Cheetahlish is actually occupies the other space in the building. They've expanded their business, but it's actually a standalone store unto itself. There's actually no access from the inside to these two stores. So, so being its own store, that's what then makes it allowable for them to have a sign. It's not really a second sign, it does say Cheetahlish, but Cheetahlish Country is actually a new store unto itself.
And it would not be considered requiring a master sign plan? Sorry.
You're correct. This building should have a
That
master
was
sign
going to be
plan.
my question.
It currently does not, but it is on my list to,
There's 3 businesses in that.
yes,
No one building.
yes. But they are taking over an existing space. They didn't create another space, kind of like what
Gotcha.
triggered
It's
the last item.
There's 3 sites on that.
But yes, you are correct.
But this is, as you indicated earlier, the city is adopted sort of a process of routinely now reviewing signs.
Yes.
And it's not special to this because they're applying for, it's part of the routine review. Okay.
That is correct. But the proposed sign does meet all the code requirements for Old Town Helotes, Chapter 98 in the zoning.
Great. Other comments, questions from the commission regarding this sign? If there are none, we can have a motion. I point out this is an approval item.
I will make the motion to approve the request by Robert James for approval of a wall sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning, Section 98-72, signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Cheetahlish Country, located at 14436 Old Bandera Road, Unit 2, Helotes, Texas, 78023, more particularly described as VCAD Prop ID number 242097.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Jeff.
Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Ann, anything further on the motion?
No.
Jeff,
No, sir.
anyone else on the motion? The motion is to approve the request by Robert James for a wall sign pursuant to Code Chapter 98, Section 72, zoning signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Cheetahlish Country, 14436 Old Bandera Road, Unit 2. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Thank you. And our final item tonight, number 10 this evening, is the item to discussion of and action on the request by Chris Mueller of Mueller Ventures, 12550 Bandera Road, for variance to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, 51, that is commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows, as well as a request for approval of a monument sign pursuant to Code 66 signs, Section 49, commercial signs, single business use monument type. Directional signage pursuant to code 66, section 45, signs, traffic control signs, subsection A, traffic control signs upon private property. And finally, menu board signage pursuant to codes 66, 52, signs, miscellaneous signs, subsection B, menu board signs. Staff, anything that you all would like to add to the multiple parts of this item?
Yes, we are trying to get a bunch of stuff done in this motion. Items B, C, and D have been reviewed by city staff and find them compliant with code. A couple things to note about this is there will be a special use that will be required, a special use permit required for the use of the menu board sign. The city secretary is currently working on that because it has to be advertised in the paper. So that will be coming back to planning and zoning and then go to city council. That's already in the works. Item A.
Can I just stop you there and ask a quick question?
course.
You're not talking about the use of the drive-through, you're talking about the use, you are talking about the use.
Yes,
Okay,
all drive-throughs require a
Yes.
special use.
but the board itself, once it's assumingly approved, then the board is done.
Correct.
So you can have a board but not a drive-through yet.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. Just letting you know
Yeah.
that Mr. Bowler.
Understood.
In the office will be back again. But we're trying to take care of everything else
Very
with
good.
this item.
go right ahead. Sorry to
Now,
interrupt.
item A is a request for variance, and we can get into the details of that when we go to that, and start to discuss that item.
Okay. So if I could then work backwards, since B, C, and D are straightforward in terms of the request, and they are all compliant, the directional signage, the menu board signage, and the monument sign. So let's, if there's any comments, we could maybe do a one big motion, but at least for discussion, if we could talk about B, C, and D, directional, monument, and menu signage. Are there any comments, questions?
May I add one more thing? I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the monument sign, they are utilizing the structure of the current monument sign, so there actually are no changes. Typically, if somebody has a change to the facade of a monument sign, they don't even have to come to planning and zoning. But we put that in there as part of his complete signage package.
And you all could see back near the end what the monument sign will look like. It's the same signage. Remind us, is it two-sided?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my only.
Yes, go ahead.
That monument sign is landscaping.
They are going to add, there currently is not landscaping, they are going to add landscaping, and I believe they noted that in their specifications. Yes, on sheet number 7, it states that they'll put 2 feet of landscaping around the monument sign.
Very good.
Bright red. Cindy Myers checked.
Other comments or questions regarding directional monument or menu signage? And am I correct that if you look at sheet number 2, make sure I'm reading it right, on sheet number 2, the location of the menu sign is the blue dot?
Menu sign is D1, correct, so it's that lighter blue dot,
Sort of at the far end of the building?
which is where the existing signs are.
Is it?
Well, for the previous building.
Right.
Or for the previous business, for the new ordinance.
Same location.
Thank you.
But this is a new sign?
Yes.
Unlike the monument sign, which is being.
Yes, it is a new sign.
Okay. Okay, so everybody's good on B, C, and D, menu, monument, and directional. So that if we go back to A, which the sheet numbers to look at here, 4, 5, and 6, I gather? 4, 5, and 6 are the sheet numbers. Also 3, 4, 5, 6.
And may I help you navigate through these?
Yeah,
So the applicant is asking that there be, so if you can see the HTO logo. The application is to have that logo on 3 sides of the building. In addition to, as you can see in, it's sheet number 6. They're asking, The fourth sign is the B1, that is this, it's a pictures of their product.
What looks like, I don't know, 5 circles?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one we're
Yes.
talking about.
So,
Okay.
so the 4 signs that they're asking for are the 3 branded HTO signs and the 1 sign with the pictures of products on it.
Which is a 48 square foot sign, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The measurements of all the signs, obviously are on the sheets, but
Right.
if you were to scroll up to your agenda item form, I have them all for you on page 2 of 5. And it tells you, it's just a recap of the elevation, what sign is where, and what the total, the individual and then the total square footage is.
Got it. Okay. And the 3 HTO signs with the state of Texas, and that's the exact same sign that would appear on
Yes, sir.
3 different, okay. Okay. And it is requiring, these signs are requiring a variance because of the number of signs. They normally would be allowed how many signs?
They would, yeah, 2, one for each pedestrian way is what's in code.
Is there not just 1 pedestrian way? How are we counting pedestrian ways?
Well, okay, let's go back.
Loaded question.
That is, yes.
Where's the,
Front and side.
Yeah, so if we go to sheet number 2, which might be, excuse me, maybe this is a better representation. The sheet number 1, I've got it up on the screen.
okay?
This, Michael, help me, what's this business right here? I know this is the gas, on this side is the Christian Brothers, and
the bank.
this is the bank. Yes, so you can you sorry, my line to show the property is covering that. I believe you can actually get into this from both the bank and from Christian Brothers. But technically, the pedestrian way would be 16. But I think more so you need to look at is the 2 is allowable. The applicant is asking for 4.
Well, I mean, one could argue that 1 is allowable, depending, again, how you count. Bandera Road has a sidewalk.
Those signs are viewable, so they're asking for the, did you want to say something?
No,
Oh, okay. I mean, the signs are, if this direction is north, it's definitely viewable by 3 sides. You can see the side on each
Right,
side of,
Understood.
coming from Bandera Road and then obviously straight ahead.
okay. Ron?
As we look at this, the pedestrian ways, like we did on the bank next door, we did the front and the side. We called the side a pedestrian way.
The front meaning Bandera Road.
Bandera Road and Christian Brothers would be the other side.
Okay.
There was actually a sidewalk on the side of the bank, though.
Right. Okay. Well, there's an entrance on one side and whatever's on the front, yeah.
To drive through.
Okay,
The drive-throughs that would be 3. So it would be the front, Bandera Road, Christian Brothers. We're just talking about the shape of Texas sign.
Mr. Chair, my only question, do we know what Golden Chick had up there before?
staff? do we know?
Let me see if I can.
Just
find
curious,
it.
says, that's from,
Yes, they didn't have one on that
they
side.
didn't have one on the drive-through side. I don't know if they had one on the other side or not. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, they had one.
Yeah, they had 2.
They had-
2?
Yeah, they had
Christian Brothers side and the main front did not have a drive-through.
Yeah. Bandera.
It looks as if Golden Chick had 2.
Okay,
It looks like it had one on the
the top of the Christian Brothers
west
side,
and then the south.
right,
Just go back.
okay.
I don't see anything that's pointing north, right? This is the north.
So I would say it is facing Christian Brothers, whatever direction that is, and
Yes.
facing Bandera, just to orient it that way. Two.
So, Mr. Chairman, the point is that even if they had 3 or 4, code only allows 2
At most.
at most. The code, yeah,
But they're asking for a variance.
correct.
I'm broadly sympathetic to having the name of the business on the sides of the building facing traffic, streets. A variance for that. I would question the value added for the city's purposes of the T diagram, whatever you call it, the non-name of the business sign. From the city's perspective. If this is allowed 2 at most, and you've got 4 here plus a monument sign down on the street, that's 5. So I would be supportive personally of allowing, permitting, recommending the 3 HTO signs as opposed to the,
Billboard?
I don't know what you call it.
The wall mural kind of.
The mural, lack of a better
Yeah,
word.
for lack of
Or invite the applicant, if, I don't know approvals, if you need to put that on the inside of the building. You know, I don't know if that's allowed or what, I don't recall protocol on that, but at any rate, that's my thought, and I open it up to
I'm
others.
in agreement with you, Chairman, about, I think that the 3 signs, the Texas signs, the brown ones that belong on the building sides there, I would be agreeable to those, but not the T sign with the different flavors on it there. The mural sign.
I didn't do the math, but let me ask staff if, because there was an issue with size, total.
Yeah.
If this one particular sign was subtracted, does that bring it, make
Yes,
the overall package compliant?
yes,
It does.
yes.
So then if we went this route, the only variance would be on the number.
Number.
And you went like this because,
3.
oh, right. I was thinking the monument.
Three's the number.
Yep.
The monument sign doesn't count as.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would, are there other comments, questions? I mean, in situations like this, yeah, go ahead.
My only comment would be, I would allow for 3 signs. In looking at the Google Maps that you just brought up, there's trees and things along, right on the side of the drive-through that in 3, 4, 5 years are gonna be completely blocking the bank side sign, in my view. I would almost approve the 2 H2 Texas signs in the 3rd mural. But kind of leave that up to the applicant on what they would want, and 3 signs as opposed to 4, but I would not go with 4 signs.
Okay.
Are you saying, Jeff, that you believe that Texas sign, the 3rd one, will be blocked eventually?
Yeah,
And that they, okay.
The drive-through side?
Is there
Yeah.
a tree? Okay. But they can trim the tree, I think. I would think, no?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the other one, Jeff, it looks like they trimmed the understory of it from the Christian Brothers side, sorry.
I think that I would allow the variance of the 3rd Texas sign because of the uniformity of it.
You can see that one.
Susan,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that TxDOT is doing the expansion of Bandera Road. I can tell you that they have been doing a large amount of tree trimming and tree removal in their right of way. I can't say for sure if it would impact those trees, but it might.
Does the applicant know, sir, you are the applicant, right?
Yes, I'm the applicant.
If you would put your name and business address on record, but do you know if the trees that we're talking about up here
I know,
are-
right between the bank and,
Yeah.
yes.
Tell us who you are and your,
Oh, I'm sorry. Tim Bowler, and the address is 12550 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023.
so are those trees, to your knowledge, on your, where, are they right of way or are they on private property? If you know?
Boy, yeah, that's, I know what trees you are. I don't know.
But you hear the concern that you put a sign up and then nobody could see it. Right, there you go.
Right, well, I do know that coming in off Houseman, just past the post office, you can turn in and go in that back way. And as you're going down there, it helps identify the building
I see.
on that side. And
Okay,
I think it just looks a lot better because I think they're nice looking signs myself. Of course, I'm partial. And, and that big H could also stand for Helotes. So, on the H2O thing. But like I say, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know about those trees,
okay.
whether they're on my property or right away or not.
Well, if this gets approved by this group and then council, I mean, that would be something for you to be aware of, maintaining them going forward if they, in fact, do become an impediment to seeing the sign. And you'd have to, of course, be compliant with city code regarding trees
Right.
and whatnot. So, okay.
Right, okay,
All right, thank you, sir.
sure.
Any other comments, questions from this body, or we can have a motion? Susan, would you prefer this be 3 separate ones and then this one to keep it a little
I
more
think
straight?
that would be
Okay.
more.
So how about we do a motion on, it's B, C, and D? If someone would care to tackle this monster?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion, especially since B, C, and D are approval items and A is a recommendation only, so we probably ought to do them that way anyway.
Thank you.
So I move that Planning and Zoning Commission approve the request by Chris Mueller of Mueller Ventures located at 12550 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, BCAT property 123456, that seems interesting, for items of agenda item number 10, B, C, and D, meaning B for the monument sign permit pursuant to Municipal Code, Chapter 66, Sign Section 6649. C, for directional signage per Chapter 66-45 traffic control signs, and D, menu board sign according to Chapter 66, Section 66-52 miscellaneous.
Is there a second? Jeff, thank you. Yeah, Jeff. Alex or Jeff?
No, sir.
No.
Anyone else?
No.
So this is a motion to approve the request by Chris Mueller of Mueller Ventures, 12550 Bandera Road, for monument sign, directional signage, and menu board signage. Those are pursuant to code, section 6649, commercial signs, single business use monument type, section 45, traffic control, subsection A, traffic control signs upon private property, and 52, miscellaneous signs, subsection B, menu board signs. All in favor, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so this motion is approved, this item is approved. And now we can revert to letter A in the
Mr. Chairman.
agenda item. Yes, Alex?
I move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to City Council approval of Agenda Item 10, Section A, for the request by Chris Mueller of Mueller Ventures located 12550 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, Bear County, Bearcat property number 123456, for Section A, request for a variance in the number of signs pursuant to Chapter 66, Signs 66-51, to include the recommendation of only the HTO sign requests to be located as per the application on the east, west, and south side of the building.
To be clear, the variance is for the number of signs only, right?
Number of signs only.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Alex? Ron?
Just to clarify, so this would not be a recommendation for approval for the fruit sign?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. So it would be the 3 identical,
Three
Texas signs.
HCO signs on the 3 elevations as they were located in the request.
exactly.
Anything, you guys over here, any questions or comments on the motion? Okay, so the motion is to recommend approval of the request from Chris Mueller, Mueller Ventures, 12550 Bandera Road, for the variance to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 51, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows, allowing for 3 signs, the 3 HTO signs on east, west, and south, thank you, elevations, as submitted by the applicant. All in favor of the motion, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved, and January 12 again would be the date that this goes for final approval to city council. Okay? That does take us to the end of our agenda. Ron,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signal aye. Aye. All opposed, we stand adjourned. It is 7:55. Thank you all very much. Happy holidays.
You too.
See you next year.
Boy,
No.
Unless, of course, we meet next week. No.